MacroAggressions never die. Talking Stitt, oh yeah.
What's up, Stitt-Heads? We're in it. Crack that nice Colt 45. Had my zigzags earlier, so it's a good old Saturday. It's 102 degrees outside right now, sweating our balls off. And in some parts of the world, it's pretty hot too. And it might even get hotter with some of the threats that Donald Trump is throwing out there. So anyways, we're going to get into all kinds of crazy things worldwide right now today with returning guest Charlie Robinson. Welcome back to the show, brother. How you doing today?
I'm good, as long as I'm not 1,000,000 degrees centigrade after he nukes us.
I know, right? Or we get nuked back because of them, or even if nukes are real or not real, who knows?
I have questions.
I got questions.
Good to see you again. Yeah. Good to see that the world hasn't completely gone to hell since the last time we talked, but it certainly is funnier than the last time. I mean,
Definitely.
There's components of it that are extremely dangerous, like, supply chains, World War III, things like that. But our president, our Lord and Savior, Donald J. Trump, is having unhinged moments. And that to me is the shining bright spot in this whole thing. The humor, the inadvertent humor that is the president of the United States, wishing death on foreign nations, taunting their religions, all that stuff, man. Like, this is just peak President Mountain Dew Camacho right here.
Yeah, dude, I was telling my wife this morning earlier after reading. Let me go ahead and read that for the listeners that haven't. We were just talking about this before we started recording. Trump put up another unhinged tweet this morning. That's basically like, when your grandpa keeps crashing through walls with his car and you're like, all right, grandpa, it's time to take the keys away. It's kind of like Donald Trump needs his keyboard taken away from him, But so listeners, he said, 1,000 missiles are locked and loaded and aimed at the Islamic Republic of Iran. Thousands more to immediately follow should the Iranian government act on his threat, pronounced in many corners of the globe to assassinate or to attempt to assassinate the sitting president of the U.S. of A., in this case, me. Orders have already been given, and the U.S. military is ready, willing, and able for a 1-year period of time, subject to extension, to completely decimate and destroy all areas of Iran. Praise be to Allah. Now, the irony of that is right there in the middle. Just the other day, there was some banner hanging somewhere in Iran that said something, death to Donald Trump or kill Donald Trump, something like that, right? So he's using that as a death threat now is what he's been talking about this week, which is hilarious because, okay, yeah, I guess that maybe is a threat, but at the same time, you just on Easter morning threatened to decimate 90 million people, so it's like when they post something back, like you can't get pissed off about it, right?
This is he went to the Roy Cohn school of accuse your enemies of that which you yourself are guilty of, declare victory even in the face of obvious defeat, things like that. Like, these traits have served him well over time. And so it's like interacting with it's a belligerent narcissist who thinks that, the world revolves around him. The problem is that it kind of does in some respects, and that's frustrating because you'd love to say, okay, grandpa, have a seat with your thoughts and all, but he still is in a position where he has influence. I mean, he's the president, which doesn't mean he's not the king or anything like that, and we understand he is where he is on the level of things, he's a puppet. But yes, he still has decision-making capabilities on some low-level things. And so we're watching, there's now back-to-back presidents. Because really, I mean, like, I'm thinking about when Joe Biden wished death to the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
This is like presidential, talk about unbecoming of a president. I mean, it goes without saying, but it's like, they're wishing death on their own people. They're wishing death on entire populations of foreign nations. They're blind to their own rather obvious hypocrisy. That's a key component, right? You cannot possibly see that this is the exact same thing that you're doing. You're getting mad at, them threatening you.
That's our
Uh,
paradigm is the left versus the right, but they do the same shit. They just point the finger at the other guy saying it when he's doing it, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's you know, I'm not trying to give him any ideas, the president I'm talking about, but if you wanted to really make sure you don't get killed, the statement should have been the exact opposite. If anything happens to me, not a single missile will be fired at Iran. That's the threat you need to make, right?
Yeah.
To keep you from getting murked by the Israelis, which is the real threat here. I mean, the Iranians are not.
Obviously. I mean, we've apparently been at war with them for 47 years, even though no president has ran on that in 47 years, but it's a nice talking point now.
Yeah.
They shout
Yeah.
death to America. Donald Trump says the end of a civilization. You're like, what's the difference, bro?
So you're dealing with you've got a bunch of serial killers inside the house.
Bingo.
The advisors to Trump. Every time he does something, you've seen the pictures of Lutnick like leering at him.
And
So
cracking
anytime he
up over
does-
the weirdest things too. Lutnick is a nut job.
Lutnick did it, but Anthony Blinken did it to Joe Biden. There was
True.
always that Israeli handler off to the side who was just kind of trying to guide them back onto the path towards the Greater Israel Project. So
Mhm.
it's I mean, look, it's funny that it's funny that everybody's first thought was this is the wrong strategy for keeping yourself alive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Everybody had the same thought in our little world, and I'd say even maybe now percolating into the normie world, which is, oh, the Israelis are the ones that are going to get you, man, not the Iranians. But it's funny to watch it kind of to play out there and to have everybody universally just kind of roll their eyes and say, well, like, if something does happen from here on out, and isn't it interesting timing with the Charlie Kirk trial and everything? Speaking
Yes.
of Israel, done it. So it would be covered up.
And now they're
there would
trying to,
be
speaking of the Charlie Kirk trial, they're trying to go all against Candace, which I don't know how deep you go with Candace. Sometimes I'll listen to her. Sometimes I don't think she's wrong on a lot of things, but sometimes I'm like, damn, she is hyper focused on some shit. But with this Tyler Robinson case going on right now, the courtroom stuff, basically everybody's trying to say like, oh, well, see, this person said this and Candace is an idiot. And this, you're like, okay, even if Candace might be wrong, you're still buying the 30-6 narrative. You're still buying this. You're still, so even if her side is, it's like what they do with any conspiracy theorist. You get one thing wrong and 9 things right, then they dismiss you completely or something, and it's frustrating times.
Yeah, but it's also a time where people are starting to ask questions that people who hadn't asked questions before. Well, a younger generation is asking the right questions, it appears these days. The boomers don't want to know.
Nope.
It's a sunk cost. They're already they're in the system. They believe all the lies. It's too much of a mental toll to pay to extract yourself from something like that. You might as well just go ahead and just go sprint towards the finish line with a full set of vaccines and boosters, and just go out
Trust the
guns
science.
blazing. But the people who are younger are starting to see they don't have they don't have 50 years of indoctrination that Iran is the bad guy. I mean, they weren't around for it. They weren't even born for most of it. They don't have 70 years of indoctrination that Israel's the good guy. So they're coming into it with a little bit, I'd say, a clean slate, but really their first entry into the behavior of Israel is Gaza, right? And but then they get that October 7th narrative and they go, oh, okay, but here's the reason why.
Yes.
But they're not buying the official story. They have real questions about the official story, and they understand the mechanics of false flags and how that works, and in ways that, because they don't have their brains aren't clogged up with a bunch of preconceived ideas about how we're the most free country in the world. They're able to kind of analyze it a little bit more like conspiracy theorists, right? Like, just like, show me what it is. Like, I don't have any energy one way or the other. Just show me what's really going on here. I'll make up my mind. Oh, that's the narrative. That 40 beheaded babies. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure, buddy.
Where's the proof? Exactly.
Right. So where's the proof? Well, we don't have any. All right. Well, that's a problem. Because if that was the story, if that was a real story and you really had that, and that's horrible, of course, that would be everywhere, especially if you were the Israelis. You would make people feel guilty about that for the next 500 years.
You would be throwing pictures in front of people's faces just
Right.
to make sure they know that it's there.
Right.
Another
It's a fake
victimization.
story.
Yeah.
And so then you become hey, maybe you're like maybe you're like a little bit introverted incel or something who's like, I hate it when people lie to me about that stuff. I'm going to go get on my computer and find everything there is to know about who these lying motherfuckers in Israel are. And next thing you know, they're like, holy moly, like the whole story is like, so like there's a change. There's a cultural change happening in America, and you can see the narrative managers trying to like get in front of it by buying up media. As we see the CBS acquisition and Barry Weiss being put in charge of that, and
like Tim Dillon says, Barry Weiss, friend of the show. It always cracks me when he says it like a smart ass.
So yeah, that you can see how they're acquiring that. Paramount, Skydance, the Ellisons are coming in and doing that, and you go, okay, they're definitely nervous about the narrative. They're concerned about the perception of Israel, and they're trying to get a hold of as much media as they can to control it. And that, I think that's pretty obvious for people, but it's going to take more than just that. It's going to take, you can't put the Gaza genie back into the bottle. People have seen too much. You can't unsee that. And that's something that hurts your soul. And
it's terrible. You see those drone flyovers, it's gone. The whole place is just leveled. It's gone.
And if you just saw that, you would feel the way we probably felt as kids when you see the pictures of the starving Somalis. Like, you have empathy, you feel sorry, you wish you could help, But when you see the Gaza stuff, and then you see the behavior of the IDF, and the mocking and the humiliation and all of the degradation that they put those people through it's not enough to just kill them. They have to be sadistic monsters on top of it. That's where they've really lost people. There's no going back from that. And the problem that the Israelis have in this respect is that much like a vampire, they do not have the ability for self-reflection. They can't see the way they look. They can't see that this is a bad look. Miyam Bialik talks about hearing, a book about, the Palestinians, and she says that she felt fear. That's not fear. What you're feeling is shame.
There was another video of her recently
that you don't know about, that the Israelis don't feel. They don't have that. It's called shame. Yes. You should look into it, but it's hard to shame people who have no shame. You show them the devastation there.
Yes,
it's their programming, for sure.
Yes.
It's it's cult programming.
Yeah.
That is you grow up in it, and it's no different if you've always kind of been in it. I understand how that can be normalized. I don't give them a pass, but I understand the psychological programming and traumatization. And of course, we understand that the Israeli government despises their people as well. Yeah, they were guinea pigs for Pfizer. So
Samson option and all that stuff. They don't give a shit about their own people.
They don't give a shit. So the sooner the Israeli people wake up and take a look at their government, the better off for them as well. Like, maybe they'll snap out of some of this and realize that they're being trained and taught to hate their neighbors, and
here's that problem we live in now is like, okay, so there's these like protected classes, basically, certain groups that can get away with things, and it's like not all of them do it, but if you point out that one does it, then you're a racist or a bigot or whatever. Throw the damn term at you, right? Yeah. But the thing is like, no, we need to be able to call out all of our own, and if we can sit here in America and talk shit about our own government, and let's just say hypothetically, this country is based on Christian values. I'm just saying hypothetically. So then if I was to talk shit on the government of America, which is okay, would that mean I'm talking shit on Christianity? Because that's the same equation they do with Israel when we're talking about an elected government of people, not the ideology of said people. Like the ideology is part of it, but it's also like just because you call out Netanyahu and IDF soldiers doesn't mean, oh, you're an anti-Semite. Like, no, it's corruption no matter what it is.
What I would like, and I think a lot of people want this as well, I want consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to
Exactly.
be equally outraged on both sides. You know what I mean? I like
Mm-hmm.
I call out the Israelis for sure. I call out the American government twice as much. You
Yep. So
know, I
do I.
mean,
Yeah.
so you the I think the problem people have is when someone plays team sports and they're unable to recognize that their side is involved in some nefarious stuff as well. Like for whatever reason, they feel personally attached to their government. They feel personally attacked by you if you criticize the government. Maybe they served in the military and that binds them together. You know, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
But people are sometimes conflate criticism of the government with criticism of them for their beliefs and everything. It's like, no, listen, government is the problem. You've been
Yeah.
brainwashed to think that you need them. Because if you don't think that you need them, you would never ask for them. They would go away because you don't need them.
They
So
need us. It's the opposite. Yeah.
they need us. Quite. There's that great meme. It looks like it could be no. I think it might have been a Far Side. Might have started as a Far Side image,
Nice.
but it's a picture of a cliff and a long board and a bunch of people standing on the board on the cliff and a politician way off at the very end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dangling on the board, but dangling off the cliff, standing at a podium, and with the the implication being that all you have to do is step off this board and that guy goes overboard. And that's where we need to be in terms of our mindset, which is all of this is happening to us because we are participating in it.
Yes, we're useful idiots that are willing participants, unfortunately. And that gets into something I brought up to you before we started recording. I wanted to kind of get into too, is like, okay, you brought up a good point just a little bit ago about like the younger people are waking up. I'm gonna be 37 this year. So I mean, I guess I'm still kind of younger, but there's
Yeah.
like my 12 and a half year old daughter, she plays on TikTok and shit like that. And she'll bring up conspiracy stuff all the time. Like,
Yeah.
Dad, I saw this thing, or this doesn't make sense about this. And it's like the curiosity is starting to peak in everybody, is what I'm getting at, of all age groups. But also, there is becoming with curiosity information. So then you have like UK, you have Ireland, Belfast, and everything. You have these protests that are going off because the people it's not the Wizard of Oz anymore. We're pulling the veil back and we realize it's not the great powerful Oz, it's a little midget running things, and it's like we're more powerful. So whether right or wrong, being violence is not necessarily the answer, but how a revolution's made, if not being somewhat violent sometimes, it's kind of like I'm cheering my Northern Ireland brothers on, but you're also like, where'd that story go? I mean, like they were burning everything in the streets and now we're not hearing shit.
Yeah. And the kid, you mentioned your daughter being on TikTok, and so I'm on a cruise earlier, like a month ago, and we're going by this island, and my daughter says something like, I said, oh, that's a great looking island. What do you think it's called? She said, I don't know, Little St. James. I'm like, what?
Nice.
How do you know that? She goes, I know things. I go, do you know? She goes, I saw a video of guys storming the island. I go, did you know I wrote a book with one of the guys? She's like, what? I was like, yeah, maybe not the video you saw, but one of the original island stormers. Uh, she was like, I'm like, but she knew
Yeah.
about Epstein Island, right?
The youth are waking up.
And so I think, okay, it's not great that you know that there's something like that out there, but if you do know that there's something out there, you're less likely to get trapped in it, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking this might be like an Epstein situation, which you would have never thought of in the mid 90s while that stuff was going on in Palm Beach, when he was going to the high schools and girls were coming back with a couple $100 extra from massages and things like that. You would have no sort of parameters to put that. You wouldn't understand what was going on. If your daughter comes home from school now with $300 after massages, you'd go, is there some Epstein shit going on? What's happening here? You know? So in some respects, the Overton window has now shifted a bit in terms of what is known about entrapment operations and how things work. And when you start to go down that rabbit hole, eventually you want to do something about it, and it takes you into the protests, right? You start thinking about like, well, maybe I'll go out there and protest. Maybe I'll go out there and be a part of this, be it in Ireland, as you mentioned, or an ICE protest in Los Angeles, right? And you start to take a look at this and you go, well, okay, let's break this down. Is there legitimate anger towards a thing, or is this being astroturfed? Well, in the case of the ICE stuff, I think there's legitimate anger. I think people are not happy with the behavior of ICE. Okay, and that's fine. So who plans one of these protests? Angry housewives?
No.
Disgruntled softball dads? I mean, who plans these protests? NGOs, right?
NGOs,
the professional protest organizations do that.
Or like the ACLU.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. So they're protests on demand, and they're financed by Soros. They're financed by tons of other depopulation NGOs, which is kind of ironic. Of course, they don't know that, but I know that because I just finished writing a book on depopulation. But the same ones that finance the protests are the ones that finance their own depopulation. So they'll figure that out at some point, or maybe they won't. But this is not as organic as people think it is. And of course, so the feeling is maybe organic. I'm mad. The government is being disrespectful to these people and treating them unfairly. I want to make my voice heard. The organization is planned by them. So you're walking into a prepackaged argument like that's officially sanctioned and approved. But it used to just be that. It used to just be you were wasting your time, or maybe they had a guy in an unmarked car taking pictures of license plates of all the protesters who were there, trying to run them and see if there's anything right. Now they do that with Flock. Now they do that with, there's a Reaper drone circling the protests, pulling, all your personal information off your cell phone. There's your Sirius XM satellite radios giving you away for being there. I mean, your phone is pinging like it's ticking. Yeah, everything is going off, man. You're just sending out a million signals that you're there. And all of these organizations and companies are collecting them. And so they're figuring out who you are. So look, I don't want to say don't go out and make your voice heard, but your voice being heard doesn't do anything to get the problem solved. And it unfortunately does everything towards putting you in a position to be identified.
More problems for you than solving problems.
All you do is create more problems. So, but I don't like that my advice is inaction, because that sounds like cute.
But people are walking into a trap almost if we don't raise that concern to them. But actually, like a week ago, I had I don't know if you know the name John Schaefer. He's a guitar player from the band Iced Earth, but he was in the Capitol on January 6th. I just had him on like a week and a half ago. Incredible interview, dude. It was so cool. We talked about like a lot of 4th of July stuff, founding fathers, what our country was built on, this and that. And he was telling me, he's like, dude, I wasn't even really a big Trump guy. I just went out there because a bunch of people were going, because we saw that this whole situation was fishy as shit with the 2020 election and the mail-in ballots and the COVID and the George Floyd and all that. So he said, I went out there and he goes, firsthand account, they were literally holding the doors open for us, moving the barricades for us. And he said it took about 5 seconds to walk through that door before I went, oh shit, this is a setup, you know, and it's whether it's the right or the left with ICE protests or whatever else, these are not grassroots things like you were just saying. We're walking our friends and family members and stuff. We're trying to be informed. We're trying to be activists in a way and spread the good word and to wake up on this and that we're all being lied to and the Federal Reserve is fake and gay and whatever, right?
All of
But
it.
don't walk right into the damn firing line either, you know, metaphorically or literally, you know.
These days it's all digital and you're being tracked. And it's, you know, and look, there's at some point their fantasy is to create a social credit system. And
Yep.
if you're somebody who goes to protest and gets identified as being a protester, that's going to be on your social credit. I don't even bother anymore. I mean, I'm sure I'm on every list you can be on, but
That's how I am.
But you know,
I post the craziest memes. I don't care. Come take me.
flying to Mexico every year for the largest anarchist conference in the world will get you put on lists where they know who you are before you.
I do want to go to that sometime. Anarchapulco.
Yeah.
I always say it wrong, but yeah, when is that? It's already passed
February.
this year, right? February. Yeah.
It's in Port. They've moved to Puerto Vallarta, and I'll be going actually to the sister event of Anarchapulco called Liberpulco in Serbia next month.
Yeah. Cool. That's my wife is Serbian, dude.
Oh, yeah?
Her family is Serbian. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a place called Liberland. It's the newest country in the world. It's a disputed island between Croatia and Serbia on the Danube, and it's a real country. They've got a passport. I know the president. I've introduced him to the stage a couple of times. I've seen his diplomatic passport. I have residency there now.
How cool.
You know, yeah. So there's interesting things happening. Yeah.
But these is you know, like we're kind of bitching about America in ways, but it's also like you were saying earlier, we've both been kind of saying, I guess, that worldwide, man, whether this world, I mean, it's like we're talking about digging in rabbit holes, normies, you know, you go from believing 9/11 to this and the moon landing, and next thing you know, like we didn't land on the moon. Now the earth is fucking flat. Actually, it's hollow and flat. And it's like whether you go too far or not, at least you're asking questions, you know. But the thing is, it's not just Americans that are disgruntled and pissed off at our governments and all the lies that have been perpetrated against us and everything. People everywhere are waking up now. You know, people are realizing like, hey, who wrote your McGraw-Hill textbooks and shit? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a little funding by Robert Maxwell. And, you know, you start finding out all this. Oh, Planned Parenthood is to help people. What did Margaret Sanger say about black people? Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like when people dig in.
Book.
Oh, nice.
It's not pretty.
No, something about weeds and extermination and yeah. But that's my point is like these institutions that we've had, you know, in our head. I talk about this all the time. There's so many things that we think are just the way they are because like I said, I'm under 40, but there's people that are 80 that think that something has been the way it is forever and it's only been that way for 100 years. You know what I mean? Like it was made 20 years before you were born, but since it was there while you were born, you think it's always been that way. And a lot of these things, whether it's our Federal Reserve, whether it's the government we have now versus 150 years ago, whatever, these are all new things, man. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, because earlier last month when I was in Croatia, and I stayed at this hotel that was inside a fort, and that fort was 3 times older than the United States.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? And so you're just like, a little bit of a perspective, you know, you can just, we tend to think that like, well, we've invented corruption here in America, political corruption. We've invented media fuckery. It's been going on for a long time. You know, the same types of people filter up to positions of power. They want to control others. Some people want to be controlled. Some people need to be controlled, frankly, to be honest.
Yeah.
And in the system works in some form or fashion. Similarly, you know, with bad people wanting to control good people, it's been going on for a long time. There's nothing inherently new about that. I think it's interesting that people are waking up to it, that, you know, because whatever it is that get you to the party, like for me, it was 9/11, but 9/11 once the Iraq War was proposed.
Gotcha.
That was when my light bulb went off. So it wasn't 9/11 the day of. It was 2 years later.
2 years later, yeah.
When they proposed when they said, you know, the Iraq War, we're going to do that. So like wherever you are on your awakening, congratulations. You know, good luck. I mean, good job. But some people
we're all on the
further
path.
along than others.
Yeah.
And some people are just like, holy shit. If, you know, I think they might have been lying to us about COVID too. It's like, okay, go with that, brother. You're on
Exactly.
on the path, you know.
Like
So
the soldier behind you. It's like if you're playing a Call of Duty game and you've been playing that game for 2 years and you're on level 32 or something, right? And then your friend finally buys it tomorrow and then he's only on level 2, but he's enjoying it and he's progressing quickly. You're like, yeah, keep going, dude. You'll get there. You know,
yeah,
that's how I am with all my conspiracy friends and stuff. Cause some will bring up some low level stuff and other people will be assholes. They'll be like, oh, that's the only thing you know about. You're like, no, don't do that. They're on their journey, man. As long as they're asking questions.
For sure. And you know, I mean, I'm mortified at how little I knew when I wrote my first book. And that was 9 years ago. So you know, there's always more to know. And the dots connect a little bit more the more you understand, you know, you maybe learn about a familiar some name that you'd never heard of before.
Mhm.
But these days, people are starting to at least ask questions, which I think is a nice place to begin. They're not going to like the answers that they get,
Right.
unfortunately, but of course, the younger generation has less to lose. They've had the game has been essentially rigged against them economically.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole working life, I'd say the last 25 years, things have been so weird, with booms and busts baked in. And, you know, I mean, like I've lived through my adult working life, I've lived through .com booms and busts,
Mm-hmm.
a real estate boom and bust where I was in the number one market in the country while it boomed and while it busted, you know.
That was
like,
the year I graduated. Wasn't that shit happened? I was like, whoa.
it was like dog years, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like I remember watching The Big Short, and I read the book because everyone said you got to, if you've worked in new home sales, you have to, in Vegas, you have to read the book. And I read the book and it was good. And then I watched the movie, and there's a scene in the movie. Well, I just always laughed that The Big Short to me was a documentary.
Yeah.
And
I need to rewatch it. It's been many years.
Even down to the part, there's a scene in there where the guys all go out to a strip club and they're talking to some stripper, and she's saying how she does loans as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a situation like that where a guy came in with his real estate agent who he'd met last night, I'm presuming in the champagne room in Cheetahs somewhere.
Coke party, yeah.
And she came in with him, and he was going to buy this house, and she went to go freshen up in the bathroom, and then he did too. And then she came back in, and I said, "Are you going to be paying cash, or what are we doing?" And she says, "Oh, I'm going to do his loan." I just went, "Of course you will." So she was like a full service stripper / real estate agent / loan officer. And I thought that was, and she was doing coke in the bathroom. And I thought that was the most Vegas peak boom and bust sort of, scenario I could imagine in real estate. Probably was the craziest one that I saw. But then when I saw that in The Big Short, I felt like I maybe wasn't the only one that had that experience.
Life imitating art kind of thing. Yeah. You're like, whoa, I just saw something out of a movie that was actually real. Man, and as we're talking about, like, I like to bring up algorithms and like division and stuff. And like, there are groups that we need to sometimes like focus on of like, hey, why are these assholes controlling this or whatever? But there's also a lot of manufactured hate, and as we're talking about like youth waking up and then walking into like this surveillance state, flock camera protests and whatnot. There's also the same with like the noticing of certain things. Like 5 years ago, if you were to say a bunch of stuff about the Jays online, you'd be doxxed and, deplatformed and everything immediately.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's okay. Like Sam Tripoli says, you got safe, dangerous, and dangerous, dangerous. Now it's safe, dangerous to talk about it. And everybody's jumping on the J train. And then also we're seeing all these videos of black people doing atrocities all throughout the country. And it's like every time you scroll on your algorithm, here's a new story about a black guy and a white girl, a black guy and a white, and you're like, this is manufactured because these are things that do happen, but that's just another Saturday in Chicago. But now all of a sudden they're showing it to us every second we look to make us mad at these groups of people. You know, like, what are your thoughts on that?
My algorithm wants me to hate black people.
Yeah.
It shows me fight, it shows me, okay. It shows it to me. And I guess I've hovered over it long enough to watch it that it knows that I'm watching it enough to show it to me again. Right. So, I mean, when I acknowledge my contribution to the showing it of me, of white people getting jumped by black guys. And like groups of them, like 8 black guys beating up one nerdy white guy for no reason, or sucker punching some woman, or pushing something. I'm just getting shown this all the time. And I've actually been talking about it on MacroAggressions before a few times because I'm now aware of it. I'm sort of looking at I'm not looking at my X account as, oh, well, what's going on in the world today? I'm looking at it as, what am I being shown about the world today? Right. So I kind of go into it with a different mindset. And so because of that, I'm aware of what I'm being shown, and as opposed to just believing that I'm strolling down some busy
information highway,
just absorbing all of the organic information that's surrounding me, right? In a very natural way. No, it's being so curated and force fed to you. Not to mention, you can. I made a comment on X last week saying that someone had said something about their follower count wasn't growing one way or the other, and I said that I had been stuck at 23,000.3 for like 7 or 8 months. Not
a single move,
not 0.1 above and not 0.1 below, but just right there. No sooner did I say that, I checked today just to see, and I'd moved up one. So now
it's so weird.
But I really hadn't moved for months, and I thought, well, it goes back to what Elon said, freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. I mean, I am not talking to anybody. Nobody is hearing me. No, I'm not allowed to talk to anybody. And I'm not asking for preferential treatment. I'm asking for a level playing field where I'm not actively prevented from, my information is actively prevented from getting out. And not just mine, but when I bought Activist Post, I got 500,000 Facebook subscribers worth jack shit. Okay. Yep. Nobody sees anything I put on there. 40,000 on X for Activist Post. Nobody sees anything. It's just turned to like pay no mind list. It's like they just turn you right off, and that's it. And so I mean, you could be screaming about the Jays all you want. No one's going to hear you.
Actually, I want to push back on that a tiny bit because I think you're right, but I also think that sometimes it depends on what content you're putting out. Like if you're some big boob girl and you're showing your boobs or your butt in front of the camera constantly, you're going to get promoted. If you're Nick Fuentes, and I'm not disagreeing with Nick Fuentes, but if you're Nick Fuentes and you're just screaming at the top of your lungs about the Jays constantly, then you're going to get promoted. But if you're a guy that just has a rational question, is like, hey, what about this thing? And then crickets, man. And that's why I kind of think I don't get on X very often. I still have an account, but man, it's like I get in there for 30 seconds and I'm like, dude, this is like a mosh pit. This is a fucking racial mosh pit is exactly what this is. I'm like, I'm exhausted after 10 minutes on this damn thing.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not. And it's almost like healthy. The freedom of speech is there, but it's also like, and I'm not saying stifle speech on people or nothing, but you're like, a lot of the people on there aren't saying a fucking thing. They're just screaming, and you're like, what are you saying?
Yeah. It's quite a time to be, I was talking to someone about this, how I'm 53. So like I was class of 90. And that put me right in the middle of Gen X.
Mhm.
And Gen X is kind of in the middle of this technological revolution where we had like the first half of our life was pretty analog. In
Yeah.
the second half of our life has been digital. And we're having to bridge this gap. Now the boomers are totally fucked. Like they actually the irony is that I'm pretty bad with technology. I have like boomer technology skills, but typically like they're kind of out, whereas Gen X has had the time to gradually make that change. And the younger kids just born into a digital world,
They just know it. Yeah.
they just know it. But what they don't know is the analog world, and they want to know it. It seems there's a push for that for some people, not all of them, of course. Some of them are way in technology, but there's also a lot of people who are like want to explore the world of like not being connected all the time, because
Homesteading, traditional
homesteading.
values. Me and my wife are about to buy 15 acres here in a couple months or so. It's like that's what people are reverting back to old.
That's the
yeah.
goal. That's the baller move, is buying land, not buying Lamborghinis.
Exactly. Because the Lamborghini, you still got to park it at somebody's expensive ass parking garage or whatever else. Like, no,
But you got to worry about it all the time. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, but like, and also like the incentive structures have changed. What do you? Okay, fine. People think you're cool because you have a Lamborghini. Now what? You
right.
still have to pay for it. Now okay, you're cool, and
I mean, that's kind of a
you're
good point.
rich, and it's a nice car, and you have to pay. Like, because my old roommate, after, not when we were roommates, but after we were roommates for a while, he's made a lot of money. He bought a Lamborghini, and then one day he didn't have it anymore, and I said, "What happened to it?" He said, "Well, let me tell you, when let me tell you, when you learn to want to get rid of shit like that." He goes, I had this little bit of a little uphill slope in my driveway, from where you come into my driveway into my garage. And so
Yeah.
I'd have to kind of go kind of slow, and rev it in and bring it. He said, I hadn't had that car for 14 months, where I'm putting in a new $20,000 clutch. And
Or
fuck
front
that.
bumper eventually, because you're going to grind it to pieces.
Yeah, and he's like, and I got tired of $2,000 oil changes and shit, rich guy problems, right?
Yeah,
Things like
yeah.
that. He's you go, okay, so like maybe in some cases you need to try it out and see that it's fake and gay. But like some of the younger kids, and real frankly, some of the people in Gen X too are they're changing what they think victory looks like. It looks
like
like
the way you said
homesteading.
that.
It looks like not being dependent on the state for your food or your security or your well-being, not being dependent on big pharma for your health, not
Mhm.
being dependent on the media for your information. Like that is that's winning. That's winning.
Yeah, exactly. That's the individuality again of what's the word I'm looking for? Just self-sustaining, like being able to, you don't need the state. You don't need, because it's like, it's not red versus blue, it's the state versus you, it's all that shit. They don't care about you, man. Like they don't care. And the moment that you recognize that they don't care and you're like, okay, well then screw you guys, I'm just gonna go do my own thing. Then they're like, hey, wait a minute. We don't like that. We want
care
you in
about
our
you
little
now.
cattle. Yeah, we care about you. We want you in our little cattle farms. Like Eddie Bravo brings up. It's like, isn't it funny? Like all these old horror movies and stuff, like, hey, Jaws. Oh, there's a big shark in the water. Don't get in the water. So everybody's afraid to get in the water. Oh, Friday the 13th. Don't go in the woods. There's a crazy maniac. Oh, what happens with all these movies? What's the final scene where everybody's all happy and peaceful? They get back to the big city where all the problems are solved. And you're like, no, dude, that's what makes most of these big problems. Like, you need to look at those movies in a reverse order and be like, maybe if I got out of the woods, I wouldn't have to worry about this other shit. What if, I'm not saying, Ted Kaczynski's kind of an idol of mine until the bomb started flying, but he had a point. And then he also, come to find out, he had an Epstein client list guy that we were like, wow, he was cleaning up the Epstein list way before we knew it.
super based Uncle Ted.
Isn't it weird the
Talks.
way they took the OG TED Talks? Isn't it weird the way they took his cabin and they made it the most like liminal backrooms looking photo of all time and just put it inside of a giant hangar?
Totally. They look like they had like uh David Lynch set up the cinematography for that
Yeah,
shot or something. It's
and it's
like
weird. It was like
a
his house was
big
almost
studio with a
tiny
cabin
cabin.
lit in a particular way. I don't know the whole thing about it. You look at it and you just go, "Whoa!" Something about that is like it's kind
Creepy.
of it's creepy. It's like living art, and
Hmm.
it's also like a kind of a perfect encapsulation of like there's some metaphors in there somewhere, right? How the government has taken that cabin and put it inside their building.
It
There's
is
some
weird how like his cabin, all the stuff that they showed they took out of it was, I don't know if you ever saw that. You probably did, but I just saw it like a year or so ago, and I was like, what the hell? It's almost like the clown that keeps pulling the handkerchief out of his arm. You're like,
right.
how did all of this shit fit in that cabin? Like
They're like
it's like
either he
what,
was
10
a
by 10,
hoarder.
10 by 15 or something. It was tiny.
Well, it's the same packing list that they had for the moon mission.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Don't
the
forget the
dune
golf
buggy.
clubs and the golf cart.
Fucking he had Ted Kaczynski had a retractable dune buggy in his cabin. That's crazy.
Exactly. Man, we should have listened to Ted.
I know, I know. Well, that poor bastard got MK Ultra'd, and it's funny that that's now a thing, getting talked about
Yes, let's go to
out in the
that.
open, because that was off limits for a long time. That was the thing that did not happen, and they destroyed almost all the files, and some of them got out, and then you start to get into like who was behind it, and Sidney Gottlieb and his
Hmm.
and some of the diabolical shit that those guys were up to. So
Dolly and
yeah,
West.
yeah, it's a yeah, yeah.
Well, it is okay. Back to like, why are they showing us certain things now? Like they've told us for years, they've gaslit us. I love how Kurt Metzger calls it like, oh, well, they ended it. MK Ultra happened a long time ago, and they ended it. Nothing ever happened after that. After they ended the thing that was successful, now we're all under MK retard instead of MK Ultra. It's like,
Right.
but why are they telling us this shit now? It's kind of like, all this disclosure with aliens or whatever. It's like, now that you're telling me, now I sure as shit don't believe you. Like you suppressed it for years and now you're using it for some advantage for yourselves.
Yeah, it feels like a limited hangout, of course, because there's more to it. There was always more to MK Ultra that we never knew.
Yeah.
The what got destroyed, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the process. I don't know what the conversation is like inside and where even this conversation would take place. Let's just say, fuck, I don't know, the Pentagon somewhere where you make the decision that you're going to normalize talk of MK Ultra. I mean, maybe a calculation has been made that enough people already know about it, so that you talk about it a little bit, give it a little limited hangout, and then
Mm-hmm.
assure everybody it was put away. Obviously, I mean, it's past the time frame where anybody who was involved in it could have ever been held accountable. So that's one thing that you've got to have, and they have that. And enough people it's in the public lexicon, enough people know about it that it's no sense diffusing a grenade that's already gone off, I guess, in some respects.
Yeah. It's past that statute of limitations almost. We're like,
Past
yeah,
that, and
whatever. People have talked about it enough.
yeah,
We'll tell you some little breadcrumbs and whatever. Fuck you.
yeah,
Move on.
yeah. I mean, because I mean, as long as your mind is captured with the MK Ultra Clockwork Orange version of prying your eyes open and watching being subjected to this imagery, as long as that's your version of MK Ultra, or they shock you and show you, suggest, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever your version, then you're not probably thinking about all of the other ways that they're currently doing it to you
Yes.
with directed energy and voice to skull technologies and things that, I mean, you fine. focus on MK Ultra and everything that we were doing 60 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Living
it
in the
doesn't.
past.
Yeah, and yes, you'll take the public relations hit for that being something that you shouldn't be doing. But it won't be anybody that anybody knows. Nobody will have a real connection to them. They're all gone. Nobody knows who Jolly West
Great.
is or Sidney Gottlieb.
Great
Nobody
point.
gives a fuck. And they've all moved on. So you know, I mean, it might turn people off to acid,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
but other than
I did
that,
acid
like,
twice in my life. It was just too manufactured feeling. I didn't have a bad trip. I'm a more mushrooms guy, but I was like,
me
I
too.
just don't. I don't dig this. You know, it was
There's
just
something
odd.
synthetic about it. The feeling was synthetic, and it's funny because I did, and I've done some synthetic substances before, but this it felt very different anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm with you.
the
I'm not
mushrooms
a
feel
fan.
way more natural. I did salvia once. That was a fucking trip. That feels like a lifetime in 10 minutes. But
Yeah, I've
yeah, I
heard.
don't remember all of it, but it was weird. It's like you just kind of like weirdly just clock out of reality for a little bit. It was like sitting around a group with a bunch of teenage friends and shit. But um, speaking of like disassociating, it's a funny transition. What are your thoughts on the Mitch McConnell situation?
Isn't it funny that his wife is like mission complete, heading back
So it's
to the
like I'm out.
mothership immediately, and they're switching the tile out? Either they're switching the tile out because he was bludgeoned and they're getting rid of evidence, or they already got rid of evidence, or she's putting that place up for sale and she's
That's my
moving to
first thought.
Beijing,
Yep.
you know? And if she's putting it up for sale, like, damn, bitch, that's cold blooded. You didn't even wait for the body. I mean, you didn't even wait for the announcement that he's dead. You already got realtors in there, like, taking pictures. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's just ironic that, like, you know, I posted the other day, yesterday at work, towards the end of the day, right before I was about to leave, and you've seen all these Republican guys and stuff the last week. To my, I spoke to Mitch McConnell on the phone for 20 minutes today. I said, I spoke to Mitch McConnell on the phone. He told me to drink 100 beers this weekend. Hell yeah! It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
we're living in this weekend at Bernie's where it's, you know, like
totally.
the same shit we did with Joe Biden. Now the Republicans are completely cool with Mitch McConnell. And back to the hypocrisy, whether it's Donald Trump being, you know, half possibly dementia like Joe Biden was, you know. But then we see Mitch McConnell, who's had damn near dementia for 20 years, stroked out on the freaking Senate floor and shit. Like, it's and I'm not trying to be like disrespectful as a person, but it also proves the point of why we need term limits and age limits. Age limits. I don't want 80-year-olds dictating for 25 and 50-year-olds in the country. That's not right.
No. And where is the, I mean, you know, the Democrats always make up a bunch of bullshit to be angry about. Here's red meat for you. Mitch McConnell
Yeah.
is probably dead.
That's my thought. Yeah.
He's probably dead. And they're keeping him weekend at Bernie's alive to make him vote on some stuff. The Democrats should be apoplectic about this. It's fucking crickets.
Isn't there some kind of like if he was pronounced dead today, isn't there some potential that Massie could take his
I
seat?
think that's what I've read, but I'm far from an expert on elections and what people need to do, but I have read that. And if
I've
that
seen it
is
a few
true,
times.
that might be a factor.
That might be the
And
red flag.
they might just be buying time to get Tel Aviv's shekels together to finance some candidate to fill this soon to be vacant seat.
Because wouldn't that be an upgrade for Massie? Wouldn't it, going from a congressman to a senator?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like definitely shitting bricks right now because they're like they pushed him out. They're like,
Are you saying
okay,
Thomas Massie killed him? Is that what you're saying?
no, Donald Trump, that son of a bitch, Thomas Massie, my best friend in the world, Mitch McConnell. People say he's great. He's the greatest of all time.
Thomas
He
Massie
looks
tried
like a
to kill him.
turtle. I might look like a Cheeto. He looks like a turtle. We go good together. Orange and green, very festive, Halloween colors. Sorry, I got to always throw a Trump in there.
Massie kills Mitch McConnell to take his Senate seat. Film it
Right? Because he wasn't going to vote for wars. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my
Or because
god! Yeah.
because McConnell is going to vote for wars no matter what. Yeah,
McConnell is like, again,
we're
this
onto
is like
something.
for the new generation. This is going to be a nice taste of American politics. When they see somebody like Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi, right, who lives to
Oh
be a
God.
thousand and they never leave, or Dianne
Feinstein.
Feinstein,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
the who look like crypt keeper.
What's
This
funny is my
is
dad enlisted in the Navy in '79, and so obviously, San Diego is like a major naval port, and so freaking Dianne Feinstein in '79 was already whatever fucking elected position she had at that time. But it's funny because my dad, he's kind of like old school boomer. He doesn't listen to shit on conspiracies. He trusts the government when my side's in because he's a right wing guy. But it's funny. He's like, this old bitch has been in there since I was fucking 17 years old. And he's turning 65 this year.
it's true.
Yeah,
These people are, and they're unqualified
right.
to represent you, and they hate your guts and they want you dead. Like that. There's some things that people need to. Uh, it's amazing what we allow. It's amazing
It's
what
true.
we tolerate. You
What
know,
happened to rebellions, man? Like actual grassroots rebellions. What
yeah.
happened to
What happened to just saying no? Saying no, like no, you don't get to just be in there forever.
yeah.
You got to have term limits. Like, let's just say you can. I don't know. I mean, senator, they get 6 years. Like, so that's a pretty. I mean, you do two, maybe three. I don't know. Whatever.
Dude, it's crazy.
Two. You
As we're
really
coming
should.
to a close here, what are your thoughts? Okay, it brought up Massie, and dude, we're on this. Massie killed Mitch McConnell.
He
Massey
did.
versus
I mean,
McConnell in the afterlife. I see it.
yeah.
But what about Massie? Like, where do we go with him? Because we just saw the most blatant. Like, you want to talk about 2020 being a stolen election? Holy shit! We just saw the most blatant for a small congressional seat in Kentucky that nobody gives two shits
Nobody
about. That
gives a
Massie
shit.
won 6 or 7 times unanimous, and then this one time they dumped 30 40 billion or $30 million into some Ed Galrain, who nobody even knows how to pronounce his last name right, or even what he stands for. All the commercials are Donald Trump endorses Ed. And you're like, what does he endorse? But my point is, like, is this a blessing or a curse for Massie? Do you see a potential presidential run for him?
I want to like Thomas Massie. I know that none of these guys are perfect, especially when you get to that level. I
He's
know
got
that
some
they're,
demole or whatever freaking shit when he was a teenager. I know. Yeah.
yep. And I'm and all that is, you know, tallied up, but he's the best of all of them. That's
For
like,
sure.
that's not the greatest compliment you can give a person. He's the best politician in America.
Yeah.
He's the best, but he's also a politician in America. Um, I like that, he's kind of a Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Rand Paul is not a Ron Paul, but
Yeah.
Thomas Massie to me is more of a Ron Paul. Ron Paul is the only guy, I've watched him get 3 standing ovations at an Acapulco in a room
Awesome.
that if you were to say, if you were to just read out his, without saying who it was, like a 6-time congressman from a Republican congressman from Texas should in no universe ever get a standing ovation at an
Right.
anarchist conference, right? It should never happen. But what he did matched what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And even though the anarchist community, and I don't speak for the anarchist community, even though I am the MC of the anarchist conference, and so in that regard, I guess I do speak for them. But people respect his consistency, his
Yes.
accountability. For he said, "I'm anti-war," and he meant it, and
He didn't promise things he couldn't keep.
for sure he delivered babies.
Yes.
He delivered babies. I think that does something to you. I think you. I mean, yes, he was in the pharmaceutical industry, but he understood the dangers of that. And then to go into, I think every now and then you get somebody who goes. I think Dr. Ron Paul, went into politics for the right reasons. I think Thomas Massie probably went into politics for the right reasons. And
Yeah.
how far
That's a
you
fair point.
go Depends on how willing you are to compromise yourself.
Yes.
And I think Ron Paul found a way to navigate that where he could do it in a way where I think maybe if Ron Paul was running today, he'd get the Thomas Massie treatment. You know,
100%. Yeah.
they'd finance his opposition and overwhelm him with money, and people would go, "We voted for that guy. What's he gonna do? I don't know what he's gonna do. It's just he's not the other guy, or
Yes,
I
he's
forget.
not the other guy. That's the argument that we all live in now, man. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I hope for the best for this country. I love America to death.
too.
And it's funny. I saw people last week. I'm one of those guys, like, dude, when it comes to the 4th of July and America, like, founding fathers are my favorite shit. Like, I mean, I'm a history buff. I mean, I know they all had their problems too, for sure. But, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, those are the ones everybody talks about. Franklin, I guess, but he kind of was and wasn't a founding father. But dude, Sam Adams, he gets this weird thing where everybody just thinks of the beer, Sam Adams, and it's like Sam Adams was kind of like the badass boots on the ground, like, revolutionary, while like a lot of like his cousin, John Adams, was basically the lawyer and the statistician and the guy like that, like everybody else was like writing up these beautiful ideas. And then you had Sam Adams out there spreading the ideas to the common people in a weird way. You know what I'm kind of saying? That's where we are nowadays. We're just getting the common people to wake the fuck up.
Do you think they search engine washed Sam Adams?
I think so. Yeah.
Started the beer brand to search engine wash him, like the way they
100%,
did
dude.
Dubai chocolate.
The way they did Black Panther for Disney, Black Panther, the way they made the movie Frozen, Disney Frozen. You're not going to look up Walt Disney's Frozen head anymore. You're going to find, oh, Elsa, let it go, and all that. Yes, exactly. There's a weird thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking there's something to what we were just saying. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, they do this on purpose to where it's like, we'll give this cartoon caricature of something, and you're like, no, there was actually something behind it. Even with the Pied Piper and shit.
Minions, too.
Yep, Minions. Yes. The Pied Piper leading the snakes out
Cabbage
of freaking
Patch
Ireland.
Kids.
Yes. See? We need to do this next episode, dude.
Yeah.
All these weird, because that goes into MK Ultra brainwashing and stuff anyways. Like,
it just goes to show you how history can be rewritten. It shows you how it's possible. I mean, you go, there's no way that the things that would have to happen for this. You go, it's been done before. They bullshitted you about the past before. Here's how they
think of it now. I could go on Wikipedia and edit something about Kevin Spacey or whoever his first name popped in my head. But I'm saying, like, I could go on Wikipedia and edit something, and then somebody's going to read my edit before it gets edited again, and they're going to believe that is truth. And that's the world we live in now. Like, we can rewrite it as we go, and it's
totally
evil. It's kind of evil.
It's you have to be you have to be mindful of where you're getting your information. It's part of the reason why I felt sort of I don't know, obligated is the right word, but like when I bought Activist Post, I want to make sure that somebody is putting out the best information possible. And here's a source, and republishing articles from like outstanding journalists who are writing about it. Dangerous, as dangerous. So I'm curating it for people and trying to find the stories that I think are the most relevant to where we are right now.
Not emotional clickbaity stuff, just the stuff we need to see, man.
Yes,
the
stuff we need to see, but one of the 8 categories is solutions. So it's also like, hey, what are we going to do about it?
Yes, I like that.
Everything's crazy, and the dollar is this, and the banks are this, and but what are we going to do about it? Like, what's the plan? How do you what you want to you say get away from these big tech companies? What's the solution? What companies should I be using?
Exactly.
Here's Above Phone. Here, they've got de-Googled phones. I know the owner.
Yep.
He's a good dude. He'll take care of it. They make laptops too. Go get your. Okay, great. So, like, if we just complain, we will probably get views. But But if we're not also offering solutions, we're shortchanging people, because it's not, yeah, I don't want to put people into like this panic where they're like, oh shit, things are getting crazy. That does something to you.
Yeah,
That
you can
makes you,
scream that the house is on fire, but are you going to put the fucking fire out?
it's bad for you to live in that constant state of fear. But if you're just enough aware of it so that you're able to act and be like proactive and say like, okay, like I recognize that things are getting weird. What can I do about it? Okay, I can get storable food. I can get my money out of the bank. I can get money into gold
Yeah,
and
yeah.
silver and Bitcoin and gold backs and bullets and whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
anything other than a soon to be worthless Federal Reserve note. So like, and as soon as you start thinking about it as from a solution standpoint, it's not quite as scary because you're
Yep.
moving towards being ready for it if it happens. Not that you want it to happen, of course, but like if it were to happen, you're just a little bit more ready to deal with it. So like I'm all about like identifying all the insanity out there. It's the embarrassment of riches as a writer. Holy shit, man. But if we're not also offering solutions, then we're just scaring our people, and I don't think that's right.
I love that, man. Actually, that's a really good way to bring this to a close, because a lot of the time it's like we just go and we scream into microphones, or
Yeah.
we don't offer solutions. We just point out this guy is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. Okay, we've addressed the problem. What is the next step? How do you, even if you can't fix said problem, how do you avoid said problem? How can you, like you said, get off grid or stock up on water and goldbacks,
Yeah.
cryptos if you're into that thing or whatever. I don't know shit about cryptos, but I'm just saying like there's other solutions out there.
Yeah.
So instead of being chicken little, and it's like Adam Carolla calls it, you got dude think and chick think. Chick think is what we're talking about just now, screaming, going, these guys are the problem. This is a problem. The house is on fire. The house is on fire.
Right.
Okay, cool. What do we do about that? That's the next question. Oh, get some fucking water and start pouring it on the walls or whatever. It's like, that's
Absolutely.
dude think. We need to think solutions think. And yeah, dude, Charlie, man, this is awesome. I want to do this again sometime. Remind everybody where they can find you. I'll have all your links in the show notes. And yeah, dude, I want to do this again sometime. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. MacroAggressions.io is my website. The podcast MacroAggressions goes out twice a week, once as an interview, once as a monologue. Well, I guess 3 times a week, Flashback Friday. But activistpost.com is an independent news site. It's been in business for 16 years. The owners approached me about it. Yeah, you know what? Just about 2 years ago now, and asked if I would be interested in buying it, which I did, and we relaunched it January 1st, 2025. So if you're interested, go to activistpost.com, like bookmark that, start getting your news there. If you get it on your phone, we didn't build an app because it centralizes control into the hands of Google and Apple.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
turn it off whenever they want. So just open a browser, put activistpost.com, bookmark it, create a shortcut, whatever, I don't know, whatever you want to do. But it's just, we've got to be responsible for getting good information. And so I'm pretty good at curating it. I'm thinking of like a news DJ.
Yeah, I like that.
Pick the vibe.
Right? Yeah,
little
it's
too
the
much
ebbs and
Israel.
flows. Exactly. The ebbs and flows. Too many ballads. Mix it up. Yeah. No, Charlie, I could talk to you all day, man.
Brother, yeah, we'll
This
do it
was
again.
great. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Stitt-Heads, seriously, thank you guys for tuning in. Charlie's great. Check out MacroAggressions. Look up everything he does. He's fucking awesome. Look up all his books. He's a genius in his field. And we need to start, just like I said, thinking of solutions instead of bitching about the problems. Well, hey, guys, I will see you next time. Don't forget, keep putting the ass in classy. Bye-bye. Whoa.